Welcome to the Butterfly Effect. Today is Stage 7 Tour de Suisse 2021. It's a time trial, 23 kilometers, and this is an exciting time trial. I didn't get to do any quite like today's stage in Tour de Suisse where it's a 9.5 kilometer climb, twisty all the way up, 6.5%. So it's a solid climb when you're talking over 6%. The backside's technical, fast, and the turns are sweeping and hard 180-degree hairpin turns down to the bottom. Last turn with 1 kilometer to go gets pretty exciting. It's a right long bend and then followed by a quick hook. And so we'll see some riders have some problems on that turn. But right away, when the cameras pop on, Rowan Dennis we see, and he's taking it easy on today's stage, saving the legs to help his race leader, Richard Carapaz, on tomorrow's final difficult stage here at Tour de Suisse. But right away, action's hot because it's Tom Dumoulin, that's race leader. He's looked fantastic. He blazed through. He's got a nice little lead there, but he's only in the hot seat for a few minutes because Gino Mader is coming through and he'll be race leader on today's stage. Tom Dumoulin only got a short time, got a little excited when he was there because right away when you see Tom Dumoulin in first place at a time trial this close to the Tour de France, now I'm thinking, wow, Jumbo-Visma's got a dilemma. Are they going to bring Tom Dumoulin now to the Tour de France if he wins today's stage? I've seen him many times in the front group finishing the stages. One of the hard stages, I believe stage 2, after the time trial, where he dropped back and didn't finish with the front leaders. But a lot of the other stages, when it's been calm, he's been up there with the front leaders. And then, of course, the summit finish climbing stage, he lost a lot of time on that stage. But in general, when you look at Tom Dumoulin's form, it hasn't been that bad for a guy that hasn't raced all season long. And now he's in the hot seat, but he's only going to keep that hot seat for a few minutes because Gino Mader's going to come through with a flying time, and he's going to be the new race leader here at Stage 7 Tour of Suisse. His time, fabulous. It'll stay there for a long time. Gino Mader's in the hot seat there for a bit of time, and then Pozzovivo will come through. Domenico Pozzovivo on the first time split, flying through with about a 5-6 second under Gino Mader's time. That was a surprise to see Domenico Pozzovivo there with that flying time. And now we got a new race leader at the first check. Now, so much other exciting stuff was happening after Domenico Pozzovivo. They didn't even show him come through the finish and where he finished on today's stage while we're watching it on TV because Rigoberto Urán is flying. The EF Education rider comes up to the first time check at the summit of today's climb, and he is flying, and he's the new race leader. We got some GC favorites behind him because remember, Rigoberto Urán was 5th on general classification, about 110, 111 back from Richard Carapaz. So we got the GC guys coming, and they're flying up the hill too. But not all of them are flying. Max Schachmann's losing time. Jakob Fuglsang's losing time. And Julian Alaphilippe, he picked to ride the road bike. And he's going to ride the road bike standard. Small wheels, small aero wheels, so nothing deep dish, just small to be fast up the climb. And when he comes through the first time check, he's the only one that's getting near Rigoberto Urán time, and he's just under 15 seconds behind Rigo back there. Solid ride on the complete road bike setup. Now, throughout the stage, we've seen a lot of guys changing. Rui Costa actually rode his road bike and then changed at the top of the summit to his TT bike for the descent. He'll finish, I believe, 10th on the stage. But behind, you'll see Carapaz. He started with his TT bike, and he's going to roll all the way to the finish. When he comes through the time check, though, he's losing time on Rigoberto Urán, and that's going to be a problem. Rigoberto Urán, I told you, is 110, 111 back on general classification, and he's got 50 seconds made up on Richard Carapaz at the first time check. Carapaz, though, is on the TT bike, and he can descend too, so he's just seeing there flying through the corners, and he's holding the TT position all the way down. Richard Carapaz does a great job of damage control after the first time check. Now remember, Jakob Fuglsang, he's only 25 seconds or so back in second place, but Jakob Fuglsang's losing time all over the place on today's stage. He'll come into the 1 kilometer to go sign where it's the sweeping right bend, and he's all off on his trajectory. He had to stay all the way on the inside right of that sweeping right turn because that immediate left is a hard hook. He gets it wrong. He swings hard left coming out of that right, and immediately as the left turn, now he's all the way inside. He's missing the apex, and he's on the brakes hard. He did a great job actually of saving this corner and not costing him more time or crashing even. We'll see back there, Richard Carapaz comes through with 1K to go. He stays closer to the inside of that right sweeping turn, and then he's able to make the apex of the left and stay smooth through that left turn. That turn with 1K to go was giving people problems all the time. Jakob Fuglsang will get back on the pedals and start driving, but he's just giving time away. He'll go from second on the general classification to fifth on the general classification, 115 down now on Richard Carapaz when the stage is over. Richard Carapaz back there, the last to finish, of course, because he's the general classification leader, is setting a great time. He'll lose 54 seconds to Rigoberto Urán. Rigoberto Urán will jump all the way from fifth up to second on general classification. Julian Alaphilippe, who had a solid ride on today's stage, finished second on the stage, but had he switched from his road bike to his TT bike, you got to believe he would have saved even more time and made up more of that deficit on Richard Carapaz. At the top of the climb, Julian Alaphilippe was only 12 seconds behind Rigoberto Urán, and by the finish, he had lost almost 40 seconds. Julian Alaphilippe's finish was still really solid in second, but you just got to wonder, with that 20-second time penalty that he had for taking a feed back on the mountain stage, and then today's decision to ride the road bike down the descent, that's going to cost him a lot of time. I got to believe he could be possibly race leader on today's stage. You give him back that 20-second penalty, you make up another 20 seconds by switching to the TT bike, all of a sudden he's race leader on today's stage. Now Richard Carapaz and Team Ineos, they have been fabulous and done everything correct tactically that they can on today's stage. Richard Carapaz rode 100%, still race leader at the end of the stage, losing just about 55 seconds to Rigoberto Urán. So he'll go into tomorrow's race with a 17-second advantage over Rigoberto Urán, 39 seconds over Julian Alaphilippe, who's third on general classification. Max Schachmann lost time. Jakob Fuglsang lost massive time on today's stage. Tomorrow's stage, though, with Ineos, all their domestiques rested today. We're going to see a fresh Ineos domestique squad for tomorrow's stage to be able to chauffeur Richard Carapaz all the way up the climbs. He's going to have some good legs, though, because there's the little hidden assassin back there, Rigoberto Urán, and this is his MO. We talked about him already here on the Butterfly Effect a couple stages ago about how always quiet and hidden he is. I remember him getting second at the Tour de France one year, and where did he come from? You didn't even know he was second. He was always in the perfect position, always hidden, never out front, and he's racing this Tour of Suisse like that too. Now keep in mind, we're so close to the Tour de France with Rigoberto Urán's form and this TT, with him second on the general classification. He is the EF Education race leader for the Tour de France coming up, and you know he's going to be up there battling with the Slovenians once July gets in here proper at the Tour de France. Great racing in today's TT at the Tour of Suisse. Tomorrow, the last massive stage, 3 big climbs. The Gotthard Pass is going to be amazing. It's a historical climb that they use here in Tour of Suisse. They've already passed it once at this year's Tour of Suisse. Now they're going back over it, and it's going to be the last and final big climb and obstacle for Richard Carapaz and his Ineos Domestiques to be able to wrap this Tour of Suisse up before we start the Tour de France. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you real soon.